Hello, welcome. Thank you all for being here. Nice to see everybody. Looks like we've got a good crew in the chat today. I'm back in the studio. Things are a little bit different as always. So let me explain a little bit about what's going on today and what we've got planned in the store. You can see I've got my multi-view on the projector again, which means it's going to get really warm in here because I have not replaced my ancient projector with a giant heater inside with something that's a little bit nicer. But I figure it's still fun. You can see what's going on my computer that way, on my ATEM and my computer screen and the other inputs and my graphics and all that. The map worked today. Excellent. I am glad about that. I've been working on some tweaks to that whole graphics system that I've been working on, and it is going well. I even moved the countdown timer into that as well. So that countdown timer and the music, as well as the little clock, was all being done from that web overlay. And the reason I've been moving more and more stuff into that web graphics system is so that I can have more flexibility in how I'm streaming and where I'm streaming from. So what I'm doing today is, of course, I'm in my studio, so I've got my ATEM Mini Extreme, and this is my desk here with the ATEM Extreme, and I've got my multi-view that I can watch here, and I've got my key fill graphics from that web page. And of course, there's no graphics on the stream right now, so they're both not showing anything, but you'll see that on the multi-view as I'm showing chat messages and all that. So this stream is being generated from the ATEM Mini Extreme. The graphics are being pulled from OBS on my M1 Mac Mini, which is the computer in front of me right now. that is outputting the key fill over the Ultrastudio 4K. So that's just a web page capture in OBS outputting locally. But because it's a web page, I can also pull the same graphics into other platforms like Lightstream Studio, which is the main topic of today's show. And that is what I really want to focus on today, is showing you how you can use things like Lightstream Studio to do more, have more flexibility in where you're streaming from. So before we get going with that, let me take a look at the chat and see if there's any questions in here that that I can start with. The all that stuff going into the M1. The M1 Mac Mini on my desk is still the only computer actually that I have right now on this. All it's doing is it's the control for me. So as I'm showing chat messages, I'm using my interface for this. I can hide chat messages from this as well. And this is how I'm controlling that. It's sending messages over to the website that's being pulled in from OBS on the same machine, outputting over the DeckLink. So if you look at OBS, this is what OBS looks like right now. And let me give you a better view of that. This is what OBS looks like. So you can see the comment is there, and it is just a web page capture outputting over the DeckLink. The trick with the DeckLink output is to use this external keyer, which tells it to output both key and fill so that you can get the proper transparency in the graphics out into the ATEM Mini. So the ATEM Mini Extreme, you can see that over in that corner, there's the little white background to make just the text of this comment show through. And that also means that if anybody has really dark images in their profile pictures, it'll actually properly key out because I'm not using a Luma key today. So there's also new as of last week, which was part of my plan for all this, is the web page also outputs sound. So it outputs, well, it's had the cheers sound for the super chat message for a while, but it also now plays the countdown music. I brought that into the JavaScript as well. And you can see on my control for this, I have little buttons for setting the countdown timer. So I can make the countdown timer start at a particular time, and it'll jump to that part of the clock as well as that part of the music and play them until they run down. Is the projector staying? We'll see. This one really heats up a lot, so I don't know if it's going to stick around, this one in particular. I'm going to keep trying this, I think, for a while, and if I like the way it looks, I'll see about getting a ultra short throw projector so I can put it up against the wall, which will solve two problems. One, it'll be not super hot. And two, this one, if I sit at the table, it blocks it because, of course, the projector is kind of over at the table. The projector is sitting over there, and that means if I'm sitting in front of that camera, I'm blocking the projector, and then there's a giant shadow on the wall. So the short throw means it'll be kind of pointing straight up from the wall, and I won't be casting a shadow on the wall that way. Is that a DeckLink Duo? It's actually the Ultrastudio 4K Mini. So it's the Thunderbolt device with the dual SDI output. I went back and forth on which one I should get, whether I should get the regular Ultrastudio Mini. Let me grab the Blackmagic website for this. The capture and playback. So I went back and forth on whether I should get this Ultrastudio HD Mini. It's half the cost, which is nice, and I don't need any more than what this provides because I really just wanted it for the dual SDI output. I ultimately ended up going with this one because I found it used for pretty cheap, and it felt more future-proof because it can go up to 4K if I ever end up switching to doing 4K stuff in here. And I did that over like the DeckLink cards, which was my other thought, because the DeckLink cards, I've heard the fan is very noisy in them, and I'm not a big fan of fan noise. And I would also have to put that into a Thunderbolt enclosure, which would have its own fans On the plus side, that means I'd be able to attach even more cards into it. Like I could put an M2 SSD into that as well and get more hard drive space on this, or I could also get more USB ports or whatever. That was nice, but I ended up going with the 4K Mini instead because I found it a couple $100 off, and it felt like it's silent, which is great. It felt like the right choice for this setup for the M1 Mac Mini. If I was building a desktop, I would do it totally differently. I would definitely get the SDI card. So yeah, will we see the DJI footage today? Yeah, I'll play back a little bit of the stream. For those of you that missed it, I did stream on Thursday very briefly. I did not promote it ahead of time, so there was basically no advance notice. I just kind of went live immediately, mainly because I didn't actually know what my schedule was going to be like when I was down there in LA, so I didn't want to commit to a time and then have to change it or rush to scramble to make it work or rearrange other things. So sorry if you didn't catch that live. I didn't really give you any advance notice other than mentioning it was going to be on Thursday last week. And but yeah, I did stream, and that stream is archived on my channel. So if you do want to go and watch it, you can still go back and watch it. But I'll show you a little clip from it once we start talking about that as well. Okay, looking through other questions here before I get going on to the Lightstream Studio stuff. Share the new web-based chat control interface. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about this before I get going, because it's relevant to the discussion, but also I don't want this to be the topic of the main segment. This is something I've been working on for a while. I'll show you what it looks like. This is what I'm looking at on my computer. And I've got these little rows of buttons up on the top for doing various things. Like I can force sound effects to play. I can show the map, hide the map. I can put up a test message in case there's no chat messages, to test things out. I've got the credits button, which I'll play at the end, which will roll the list of people who have super chatted during today's show at the end. And these are the countdown buttons. There's a command for start show, which will both hide the countdown and hide the map. It'll actually fade them out using all CSS animations. This is a control. This is basically just sending commands up to my server when I click these buttons. The way that I'm pulling chat messages in is I actually had set that up a long time ago to archive the chat messages, which is how I do the link. This, excuse me, not this one. Chat links. AaronPK.tv/chat links, and let me. Oh, I broke it. What did I do? Well, I'll have to figure that one out after the show. What's supposed to be here is a list of all of the links that I have dropped in the chat with timestamps. So, not really sure why that broke. That's yeah, okay. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's supposed to be there. And the way that works is I've written some code that pulls the YouTube API, pulls all the chat messages from it, and then it finds anything that I've said, looks for links, and then puts them onto the screen. So I had that running for a long time, and then I was like, oh well, if I've already got that process running, then why don't I show all of the chat messages in an interface so that I can click on them, and then what this is doing is it's pushing the message here up into my little chat overlay. So if yeah, it wouldn't be a live show without breaking stuff live, of course. So you will probably recognize the chat overlay itself because it is based on the same code I've been using in the Chrome extension. So this is where I give you the bad news. This is not something I am planning on releasing because it is pretty specific to how my show runs, and it is unfortunately requires a lot of going through a lot of hoops to actually get the API stuff working. So instead, I have two paths to send you on instead. The one path is I'm going to continue maintaining the Chrome extension. So the Chrome extension is the one that I did a video on. It's on my channel. You can look for live chat there. In my channel, you'll find that video. This is what this looks like. It reformats this chat so that you can click on a message and it pops up at the bottom of the screen. And then you can, of course, key that into your video, which is how it's worked in the past. I'm working on, I'm almost done with, I think I actually am, I just need to publish it at this point, working on changes to make this usable for you using browser overlays. So there's a new button here called Pop Out, and if you click that, it actually opens up a new window, and this window is something that you could bring into OBS or Lightstream Studio to actually have that software capture this window. So you copy that URL, bring it into OBS. OBS will then, actually I can just do that. Bring it into OBS. I can make a new test chat, a new scene, and then add a new browser, test chat browser. And then in this, I'm going to paste that link. Okay, and then we're going to also make sure that it's 1920 by 1080. Okay, that's now set in OBS, and again, OBS is outputting over the DeckLink, so this is actually going to be live. And now when I click a message in here, it is actually going and pushing it into OBS, which is then able to output it over the DeckLink card. So I believe I forgot to change the background color, which is actually in the extension settings. So you have to go into here and then go into the extension options. And yeah, background needs to be whoa, why is it writing backwards? That was weird. Okay, transparent. Save that. And then close that. And if I think I have to reload this and then it'll work. And now when I click one, it should push, pop out. It should push that. There it goes. Now it's a transparent background. It's being keyed out properly. So this is the beta of this Chrome extension. I am planning on publishing that so that you can use it with browser sources. That's the compromise, because this one it is easy enough for me to explain how for people to set it up, things like that. Part two is, and let me go back to the overlay that actually is running my actual show. Part two of that is I'm looking forward to John Barker finishing H2R Graphics version 2, which will also have the same kind of feature where you'll be able to pop out a window, bring that into OBS. At least that's my understanding. I haven't seen any of this yet, but that's what I've been gathering the way it's going to work. You'll be able to grab that window, bring it into OBS, bring it into Lightstream Studio, and then do any of the stuff you've done in H2R Graphics with a browser overlay source. And that includes also chat, the way that John has done it, and the chat, any of the lower thirds and graphics and other stuff. So that's the story there. Where are you running OBS? Yeah, this is running on my M1 Mac Mini right now, the same one that I'm using to control all this. But because it's in OBS, I actually don't have to be using the control software from the same Mac. I could be using the control software from an iPad or remotely or outside of my studio, which is can be pretty fun. So, okay. Love it when you break stuff and troubleshoot. Well, I haven't troubleshooted the broken chat links webpage yet. Probably not going to do that live. That will be boring. Okay, so continuing. If you do have a question, again, reminder that my interface is sorting these messages. The ones that mention me or the word question at the beginning show up on the right side. All the other stuff shows up on the left side. So that's where I'm just going to be sort of scrolling through those, but I'm really going to be keeping an eye on the ones that mention me. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. Look at that. Thank you for the super chat, Petra. I appreciate it. The multi-view wall is a lot of fun. All right. So let's continue on with talking about the remote live stream that I did. So when can we expect another marathon coding session? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. So if you first, let me show you a little bit of a little clip from the stream I did from Santa Monica. So I just have this on my computer screen, nothing fancy. This is what, and this is live. You can watch this if you want. This is a stream that I did from Santa Monica from the hotel. And you can see I've got the same chat overlay that I've got on my normal streams. And this is because the way that I did this is using the same exact chat software web graphics that I use on this stream. I was able to bring up the same control interface on my laptop there. And then instead of OBS outputting to the ATEM Mini, that chat, instead, this camera was streaming to Lightstream Studio, which was then doing the web graphics. So I have a little diagram of that to show, because it's not terribly complicated, but it is, there's a little bit to it. This is, I just drew this in like 2 seconds before the show. My camera that I was using was this DJI Pocket 2. I forgot the word pocket in there, probably because it wouldn't fit. This is the Pocket 2 with the little gimbal camera, and that was connected over Wi-Fi to my little travel router. The travel router is this little guy, and this is my new favorite thing. This is, this can take an LTE SIM card. So I popped the SIM card from my phone into this. This has the internet connection, and then it has Ethernet in case you want to plug in like hardwired devices or plug this into a hard line, but it also broadcasts Wi-Fi. And then I was able to take the Pocket 2 and connect this to that hotspot's Wi-Fi. So that meant all of a sudden that has an internet connection. So that's great. DJI Pocket 2 is now on the internet and can stream over RTMP. And if you go into the Pocket 2 app, you'll see there's streaming options for the for streaming to YouTube or other platforms, as well as general RTMP. Here's the problem. The problem with streaming from any of these cameras directly to YouTube is, or any platform, is you miss out on a lot of the things that make a stream look a little more polished. So by default, they're just going to push a video stream, and then whatever is in the camera is what's live, which means you don't really have the opportunity to do like a countdown timer or even do like a pre-show title graphic. And you also don't know when the stream's actually going to start. And that's kind of the biggest problem with it, is like, how many streams have you watched where the person on the stream is just saying like, oh, well, I think we're live. Are we? I'm not sure. It looks like it. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then they start their show, right? That's not super polished. So it's a lot nicer to be able to have a title screen or a countdown running so that you can actually make sure the stream is live, see it on YouTube, and then cut to your camera. And of course, you can't do that if your camera is streaming directly to YouTube. So that is where Lightstream Studio comes in. So Lightstream Studio. Let me talk a little bit about Lightstream Studio. The way that Lightstream Studio works is, well, it does a whole bunch of things. And I should also mention that they've set me up with a few months of a trial account to be able to test all this stuff out. So thank you to them for doing that. But The way I'm using it is basically the DJI Pocket 2 is the one that is actually pushing to Lightstream's RTMP server. So I can show you what it looks like in Lightstream Studio. This is what you get when you just you start a new project, right? And you get what you create what are called layers. So your layers can be all sorts of different things. You can make a layer that is text or images or even upload video clips to it. You can capture your camera, so I can even capture my ATEM Mini because it's plugged into USB. I could choose other cameras that are plugged into this computer. You could also invite guests, which is super cool. You can add a remote guest, copy that link, and then they can join from their browser. So super easy way to do multi-person live streams that way. Once you do that and they show up, you'll be able to add them to the stream, and they don't have to be full screen. You can resize them. So you can put side by side, you can do all that kind of stuff. There's a special one in here called RTMP source, and this is kind of the magic that makes this work. So if you say make a new RTMP source, this actually gives you an RTMP endpoint and a stream key. And that means you can stream to this from anything. So anything that has an RTMP can push an RTMP feed, you can stream into Lightstream. So that's what I was streaming to from the Pocket 2. I don't have it set up right now to actually do that live, but the idea is the Pocket 2 will be pushing its RTMP stream not to YouTube, but instead to Lightstream. And then you can add this source to the scene. And again, you can crop and resize and move it around, all that. But I just had it full screen because I just wanted it to be, normal full screen video. So that was the Pocket 2's RTMP feed going into Lightstream. And this is, these are layers, right? So I've got the RTMP source. I can then also add under third-party integrations. This works with a whole bunch of stuff out of the box, but it also supports arbitrary browser sources. And again, that's where the magic happens here. So I was able to add, I can go actually add the pop-out window, right? So I can go pop this out, grab that URL. I don't need the window on my computer. And I drop in that as the browser source. Let me see if I can actually do this side by side. So I want that one smaller. So here's my little window that I'm using to control what comments are appearing on the chat. And now I can click on a comment and it appears in Lightstream Studio because Lightstream is capturing that browser source. So I can control this, what's showing up in Lightstream from my browser here. So this is the one that you will actually be able to use once I publish the update to this browser extension that has this pop-out button, which I'm pretty sure I'm happy with the way it works. So it should be out in a week or so, let's say. Yeah, so there are two layers in this scene, right? The RTMP camera and the chat. And that means when I go live, I can go stream to my test server. I can now push that live to my test server, and it will actually be live on test.rmpk.tv. So there's nothing there yet, but I can show a comment, and you can see it shows up on the stream, and in a couple of seconds, it should be on test.rmpk.tv. And now we've got the stream delay, right? So there it is. So we've got the streaming delay of Lightstream's RTMP push, as well as my test server's RTMP or ingestion delay. So that's why there's that, 10 seconds or so. So yeah, then I could go and push a video feed to this as well. Let me see if there's a way for me to do that easily. I guess I can use my other ATEM Mini to do that, which is currently on yeah, that should work. I'll go to my other ATEM Mini. So let me just bear with me while I connect to it and try to avoid showing streaming keys on the stream. Is that going to work? Oh, I need to, sidebar. Adding new RTMP sources to the ATEM Mini is, in the ATEM software control, is not fun. It takes a lot of time, and what turns out a great solution workaround to that is using Mix Effect, because Mix Effect lets you just type in RTMP URLs, which is great. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go into the ISO, connect to the ISO, and then output. Okay, so I even got Lightstream already configured, so I just need the new stream key for this RTMP source. And then I can, so copy the stream key, and I should be able to paste it into my iPad. Get rid of that. Can I paste from the other computer? Yes, I can. And let's stream from that. And then in a couple seconds, we should see a picture show up here. Cross your fingers if I did this correctly. And of course, we're dealing with RTMP, so there is this delay. But we've got the ATEM, ATEM Mini ISO over there is pushing to Lightstream. It looks like it is not pushing. What is it doing? It says it's outputting at 0.2 megabits a second, which is not a good number. So did I get the RTMP URL correct? Let's double check and edit streaming services. Yeah, Lightstream inbound stream key is, I think I was pushing to the wrong stream key. Let's try this again. One more time. And paste, save, yes, and go. Okay. I'm suspicious about this data rate. Am I on the right ATEM Mini ISO? This is what I get for doing live demos. Am I just like on a, where's my program output? Table program, table multi-view, on air, program out. Sure looks like it should be right. Something is going on with my ATEM. Let me grab a different encoder instead. I think that's going to be a better solution. So I happen to have another encoder behind the desk, and I should be able to stream to there we go. RTMP, enable, and go. And now let's go back to Lightstream. And this should be, oh yeah, there it goes. You can see RTMP source is being received. So I don't know what's going on with the other ATEM. That's too bad. The RTMP is being received, and now you can see the picture up on the screen as well. So that is my audio is feeding back now too. There we go. So we've got in Lightstream, we've got the, you can see it's actually pushing the main ATEM feed that I'm streaming into Lightstream now, overlaid with the web browser source here, and it's showing up in my test server. So it's all working. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So this is now back to Lightstream. This is all saved as a scene. So in one scene, I've got my RTMP source plus my graphics overlay. I could make a new scene, and this scene could have, for example, just a title graphic. And when I press this update stream, it's going to then cut to that scene. So now the stream output you can see is that graphic, and if we go over to the test server, we should see it flip over to the title screen as soon as I press that button. Again, we're on like a 10-second delay or so. Cool, so you can see I can now switch between title graphics as well as the actual camera plus overlay if I want. So that's how I was able to do the stream entirely remotely using one camera. So yeah, backing up again, the way that the reason this works so well for the mobile setup is because when I was out at the hotel, all I had with me was this, the hotspot and the camera. And the camera pushes to Lightstream, and then I have my laptop. I guess I also have my laptop. My laptop open up in Lightstream Studio so I can control the streaming and scene switching as well as the chat. So that is the quick overview. Let me go take a look at the questions since I have just blabbered on for a while and without looking at the chat. Oh yeah, so that question that was showing in the test stream. Could you use your phone as a hotspot instead of the travel router? You can for sure. In the testing I was doing, it was less reliable than using the dedicated hotspot. I had better luck connecting the Pocket to, as well as the GoPro and all those cameras. I had better luck connecting them to the GLI instead of the phone. So that means you could stream from your ATEM Mini to Lightstream, yes, just like I did in the test because my other one failed. Yeah, the ATEM Mini Pro should be able to stream up to Lightstream. There was something wrong with the ISO. I think I probably just need to reboot it. Can you lock the RTMP layer? Let's find out. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by lock, actually. The way that this works is, so here's the RTMP. I don't see any, oh yeah, there's a lock button. I don't know what that does. I guess it means I probably can't move it anymore. So I can move the overlay, but now I can't, yeah. So now I can't do anything to the RTMP layer. So I could, in fact, lock both of them, which is probably a good call. Now I can't mess those up. What app are you running on your iPad? That app was called Mix Effect, and I actually had the developer of that on a stream a couple weeks ago, and we did a demo of the app, and in particular, grabbing the video link, in particular, I was really excited about the auto switching capability, which let us automatically switch between who of us was talking without any hands controlling it. So definitely take a look at that video. That was a fun live stream. So here is Mix Effect app interview. Drop that link to the chat. That is, oh, and here's Adam, who is the developer of Mix Effect. Did you hit return after pasting the RTMP stream key? Also check your bit rates. You know, I don't think I did hit return, but that could have been what it was. Yeah, that's probably what it was. I didn't hit return. So thanks for that. Why do you have ATEM Mini Extreme and also the ATEM Mini on your main desk? Do you use both? Oh, you're talking about in this shot. Yeah, so the ATEM Mini Extreme is the one that does most of the show. This is the one doing super source and encoding, and in this case also recording, so I can edit this later if I want to. And most of the stuff's happening here. This little ATEM Mini back here, which is kind of hidden behind it's also on top of the Ultrastudio 4K. That little one is in use, and it's actually connected to, you can see it's this input 7, or I don't remember this box. That's what it's connected to, which right now is my iPad, and that's so that I can do things like show you the drawings. But I have a couple other things it's connected to as well. So it's connected to the Apple TV, which is not on right now. It's also connected to the HDMI player, so I can play video clips back from that HDMI player as well. That's the one that just plays whatever's on the SD card on a loop. So it's great for just showing, background graphics or whatever. But that's what I use it for, because I don't use all of those at the same time on a stream usually. So I really only need one at a time, and it gives me extra inputs into the ATEM Extreme that are easy to switch to, as well as I can automate. That's the only reason I have that. Crane says, I wouldn't want to accidentally move the main source. Yeah, great. So that's what the locking the layer is for. Zach says, does tethering an iPhone to the older gray slate essentially the same thing as inserting a SIM card into the newer white one? Basically, yes. So the reason that I got this one, which is kind of new, this actually has a built-in battery also. So this can just run itself without any extra power supply. The other gray one, which I still like a lot, it's actually even smaller. There is no battery, so you have to power it. And there's no SIM card, so you have to give it an internet connection somehow. But it still has all the other options. You can plug in a LTE stick over USB. You can plug in your phone over USB. You can plug in an Ethernet, and you can even connect it to a Wi-Fi hotspot. So same idea. It actually has 2 Ethernet ports instead of, or 3 Ethernet ports instead of 2, which is nice. So that one is also solid. It just doesn't have the LTE connection. So you have to bring it LTE in some other way, like using your phone or an LTE stick, USB stick, and those will work fine. But yeah, same idea. Did you just say Ultrastudio 4K Mini, or did you mean Ultrastudio HD Mini? I did get the 4K Mini. That's the one that I ended up with, not the HD one. Ian says, is it possible to use the DJI Pocket 2 plus the ATEM without using Lightstream? Nginx with Raspberry Pi has the 3-second delay. Yeah, so anytime you're doing anything over RTMP, there's going to be a delay. It's not real time, so you're going to have to account for that somehow. In the stream I did last week, I wanted specifically to see what I could do with Lightstream Studio and as little actual gear as possible. So that's why I did Pocket 2 to Lightstream, and I had a laptop to control Lightstream. I definitely could have instead streamed from remote using the little internet connection here into my studio, into an RTMP receiver in the studio here, and then use the ATEM Mini Extreme to do the show like normal, which I do want to try at some point as well, because that sounds like a lot of fun. And I might try to do that with a different camera, not the Pocket 2. I might try it with either like the Sony ZV-1 with a different RTMP encoder, and we'll see what I end up using on the receiving side. The Nginx with the Raspberry Pi does work. I'm testing out some other RTMP receivers as well, so I should have some updates on that hopefully soon. And that also means that there's an opportunity for that kind of workflow not using RTMP, using SRT instead. So that might help cut down on the latency. Is the travel router linked in the description? I sure hope so. There should be links to everything down in the description. The description of this should have a link to, at the very least, yeah, okay, it is there. But it also links out to my kit.co, which is this link. I'll drop this in the chat. So here's the kit.co page, which has the link to the Pocket 2. Oh yeah, I'll talk about audio as well. That is the travel router. I've got a link to Lightstream Studio, and I do try to always bring backup batteries whenever possible. The Pocket 2 has a battery. Those are battery powered. That's battery powered, but it doesn't hurt to have an extra battery to charge things when you are on the road. So let me talk about audio. The audio for the stream, the Pocket 2, thankfully, does now have a wireless mic module that comes in the Creator Combo Kit. So if you are streaming just yourself or one person, clip that onto your shirt or run a lav mic into it, and it will transmit wirelessly to this. That is super cool. However, for the stream, I was streaming an interview between 2 people. So that's not going to work. So instead, I use the Rode Wireless Go 2, and that has the one receiver, which plugs into the little microphone port on the base. So this little attachment on the bottom is I don't know how to take it off, actually. There it is. This is from the Creator Combo Kit, and it has the 1/8" audio input. So you can run the Wireless Go 2 receiver into that, and then you can get your 2-channel audio into the camera as well. So that is a pretty good solution for that. I was happy that ended up working. Chris says the NDI to HDMI from Magewell works great for RTMP. That's funny. I wouldn't have expected an NDI thing to support RTMP, but that's good to know. I'll see if I can grab that one. Chris asks, can you RTMP 2 Pocket 2s into Lightstream Studio and switch between the 2 cameras? That is an excellent question. You definitely can. However, I will say there is a slight delay in the switching between scenes. It's not seamless like in the ATEM. So if you notice, let's see, I can do this again. So I'm going to go over to Lightstream Studio. I'm going to switch to my title graphic, right? So I've got, you can see this is what's live. I'm going to press update. So when I press update, it's going to tell it to switch. I'm going to go over to the live one. This is now what's actually streaming. And when I go and move my mouse up to there and click update, we'll see the delay. So when I click that, here it goes. See how there's that flash of black between them? So it's not a seamless switch between the 2 scenes. So while you could switch between your 2 cameras, it's not going to be quite as transparent as when you're doing it in the ATEM, unfortunately. It's really meant for more large changes, like going from your countdown or your graphics to your main feed and then back out again. Great question. Does Lightstream have a hotkey capability? It'd be great to use it. Yeah. I haven't found one. I would love to see a hotkey or just the ability to send like control commands to like an HTTP endpoint. That is an excellent feature request. And I would love to see it because then we could do more scripting of using companion buttons to trigger scene changes on Lightstream, for example. I've looked into Lightstream and I find it quite ambitiously priced at $40 a month for the 1080 creator plan. I mean, yeah, like any of these things, they seem to be around that price. I think StreamYard is similarly priced, which of course works very differently, and StreamYard does not have the RTMP input. But that's what caught my eye about Lightstream, is that it has the ability to pull in RTMP feeds. I do like StreamYard as well a lot, big fan of that. Super easy to throw someone at it and have them switch a show live, and it does do automatic scene building and multicam, like multi-guest switching between different layouts, which is great, but I couldn't use it for this workflow because I needed the RTMP input. Could you cheat it like an OBS by having both cameras in the same scene, then hiding the layer it's on? I don't think so, because when you're in a scene like this, let me unlock this. So here's my RTMP layer. As I'm doing stuff to it, it hasn't, see how the update button turned on? As I'm making changes, it hasn't actually pushed the changes live until I press that. So I could have another RTMP source, and I could bring that in as well, and then let's bring that down here, or go up there. Okay, so I've got 2 RTMP sources, but you can see that the actual live stream hasn't changed because I haven't pressed update yet. And I suspect that there's gonna be the same little flicker when I do that. So let's test that out. I'll go ahead and click update and let's go over and watch. Got a little delay of my server, adding the RTMP processing. Click update, and how quickly does it change the layout? We should see this shrink. Did I click it yet? No, I haven't clicked it. There it goes. Why didn't I see why didn't the layout change? Oh, I've resized the graphics. I didn't resize the stream. That's what happened. I should have locked this. And now we've got the RTMP source. One more time. Resize this. There's my other RTMP source. There's my RTMP source. Click update, and there it is. So go back here and let's watch it back. I didn't see a flicker though, even though it did update, so that's a good sign. So maybe it won't make a black gap between. Okay, yeah, that was just an instant change. So that might be the solution then, of using one scene to, for example, I can hide that, and then I need to update it. And that might be a good solution. Not again, it's not as fast as using an ATEM or using even a Stream Deck, which is why I think it'd be great to be able to send commands up to this. Like if there was an endpoint you could post to click that hide button, that would be super cool. They do have this mode called Quick Scene Switch, which does let you, what that does is basically when you tap this button down here, it's going to immediately update the stream. It's not going to wait for you to click the update button, but all it does is it basically automatically clicks that update button for you. I think we're still going to get the little gap. Yeah, so there's still a little gap when it switched scenes. But then you can at least go just one tap and now you're back. Oh, the other thing that's cool about this is if you load it on a mobile phone, the layout, it doesn't give you any of the editing capabilities on a mobile, but it gives you giant buttons for the scenes. So that's actually what I was doing on the bike ride. I had my phone set up to be able to switch between the title and the stream. And it's just giant buttons that let you switch between those, which is super cool. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Did you consider the ZV-1 instead of the DJI Pocket 2? I did. I actually did bring the ZV-1 with me because it's a real camera and I wanted to be able to take pictures too. Excuse me. And I even brought enough gear as a backup to be able to run the stream using the ZV-1 in case my plans with the Pocket 2 fell apart completely. So I brought a little dedicated, a little small H.264 encoder to be able to push RTMP up to Lightstream from that camera. And the downside is just the number of cables you need for it. The battery in the ZV-1 is not large, so you pretty much have to power it either using USB, which I've had mixed success on, or with the DC coupler that goes into the battery slot. So that's a wire. You then need a wire between the camera and the encoder, and you need to power the encoder because I don't think I've seen one that has a battery power. So now you've got those 3 wires, and then you need to connect the encoder to the router, which you could do over Ethernet, which would be better than wireless, but that's another wire. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does end up being quite a lot more than just this on a stick and the travel router. So that's why I was really curious to use to try it with the Pocket 2, which thankfully did work, and I did not have to go to my backup plan of connecting all those wires. How are you using the ZV-1 with the USB adapter cable? Did you remove the battery door or just keep it open? So what I did with that, and I think I put a link to this on my page. Yeah, so on this link, what's in my travel camera bag. What's in my travel camera bag, this is what I brought on the trip. So I brought the ZV-1, Pocket 2. I got the Insta360 last week because I thought it would be fun, and it turns out it is. It's just a lot of fun. It's fun. I'll share some videos from that. It also technically does support RTMP streaming also. So we'll see if I can do a stream with that sometime. Maybe I'll try that one going into my studio. But what I came here to show you was this camera base. This little bracket goes on the bottom of the ZV-1, and it basically gives you a tripod screw over here such that the tripod head does not block the battery flap. It's like just a really unfortunate design flaw. The only problem with this camera, I feel like, is when you plug in the tripod head, it blocks the battery door from opening. So you can't swap out the card or the battery while it's on a tripod, or use the little DC coupler. So if you put the tripod on that screw, then you can leave that hanging open and have quick access to the battery or SD card if you want. Yep. One thing I've learned about streaming is there's always a lot of something. Yes, there's usually a lot of wires. Oh, thanks for the super chat. Oh, I just made it go away. I'll show your message again in a second. Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate it. Oh, I saw it. Where did it go? Okay, try that again. There we go. Oh, message has disappeared again. Okay. I have a little bug in this apparently. It seems to be things don't quite get timed right when there's a super chat. Anyway, appreciate it. Oh, now it's totally broken. The chat's totally broken. Okay, I have to reload that page. That should do it. Possibilities of integrating Apple TV into my workflow with NDI. Does it work with Skype? I think it does, but I haven't actually tried Skype's NDI in a while. But the Apple TV NDI app definitely works. There are now, however, a couple other devices on the market that didn't exist last year for receiving, for taking NDI into HDMI, which is nice. If you can find out how to get HDMI out from the Insta360 to the ATEM Mini, that'd make a great video. Yeah, from what I can tell, there's no way to make it work directly. You have to go through its streaming. You have to go RTMP into something. So that would be my solution for that, is stream from the camera into like a Raspberry Pi or some other RTMP receiver. So we'll see what that ends up being. And thanks. This is a good question. Is there any way we can give the presenter the option to change the PowerPoint slide to be published to Lightstream Studio? Yeah, so if you can... Oh, thanks, Dean. Thanks for your help and knowledge. I picked up the Sony ZV-1 last week with your advice. Any tips on settings for live streaming with it? Oh, good question. Yeah, let's see. What would I do? I would say definitely you want battery power, or not battery power. You want hardwired power. So that DC coupler would be a great one to get. Like I said, I have had mixed luck with the USB power. Sometimes it just doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't keep charging. It thinks the battery is dead, even though it's got USB power, which is annoying. So the DC coupler fixes that. I prefer to keep the shutter speed and aperture fixed and control the exposure manually. And I think that's, of course, depends on the setting, but especially in a studio like this, you want to lock all that down. Then there's a setting in there for telling it whether it should keep running even if it gets hot. I forget what it's called, but it's somewhere in the menu. It's like overheating protection off or something like that. So you have to do that. Otherwise it'll just like be really aggressive at shutting down. I believe there's also the clean HDMI out, which you'll want to, disable all the info overlays on the HDMI out. They always call it something different. I forget what the Sony one calls it, but it's either going to be called clean HDMI out on or info overlay off. And let's see, those three things. What else would I do? I think that's a good start. So that's how I've got mine set up. Oh, white balance, fixed white balance. Don't set to auto white balance because then your colors shift as you move things in and out of the frame. But yeah, that should do it. Okay, back to the PowerPoint question. Is there any way we can get the presenter the option to change the PowerPoint slide to be published to Lightstream Studio? So if you wanted to share PowerPoint slides into Lightstream, there is a screen share option. So you could screen share from your machine. You could screen share like a second monitor or an app window or something like that. And that could be running PowerPoint. You would then need a way to remotely control PowerPoint. And I have seen a couple of those, a couple of options for that. I'm trying to remember the name of the one that I just used. It was called, I'm sure someone's gonna remind me. Oh, it was internetclicker.com. I have never, caveat, I've never actually used this. Internetclicker.com, oh yeah, and Michael is saying the same thing. I have never been on the production side of using it. I've been sent a link to that before when I was doing a presentation where somebody else was controlling or had the slides, and it was easy. It worked well. So you would be able to control that way. And then Chris is saying Keynote and PowerPoint can both broadcast to the web internally. If that is the case, then that opens up some interesting options too, which I was not aware of. Let me see if I can try this out. We are going to this poor little Mac. We're going to load up a slide deck on my computer. And you get to see how I make my thumbnails. Yes, I make all my thumbnails in Keynote. It must be this. If that is the case, if you can like create a web page that broadcasts the Keynote presentation, that would be also cool. Can't connect to iCloud. Great. Well, we'll do that. We'll do that later. Oh, it's just, it's in the middle of uploading. Okay. We will do that later. We will figure that out. That's cool though. So if that is the case, then you could, for example, you could bring Keynote in as a web source if I'm seeing this correctly. I'll give that a shot. Is there any way to add the PowerPoint to Lightstream? So yeah, either would be sharing a screen to Lightstream, which would definitely work, or if that works the way I want it to work. Yep. HDMI info display is what it's called on the ZV-1. Thank you, Andre. Question, is that the same with the GoPro cameras? And what are your thoughts about live streaming with the GoPro Hero 9? So I did do a live stream with the GoPro in the same way, where the GoPro was streaming to Lightstream Studio. However, I did not have a good time using the GoPro app to stream directly from the GoPro. It does do RTMP encoding. I have the GoPro 7, I don't have the 9. From my understanding, the GoPro 9 didn't make any real changes to that system, to the streaming system, so it's probably about the same as the 7. I was not happy. Let me just put it that way. I did talk about it on a stream a couple of weeks ago. It was the one streaming the bike ride. And I had a heck of a time. First of all, the app doesn't remember your RTMP settings, so you have to have that URL written down somewhere else and keep copying and pasting it every time you restart the stream, which is just frustrating. And the other thing is that it just failed randomly. It would just like, at the slightest hiccup, it would just shut down the stream, and you have to go and set the whole thing back up again. And it's a whole process. So I was not pleased with that. And what I ended up doing instead was I took a small HDMI encoder, plugged the GoPro into that, and had that thing doing the RTMP streaming, and that worked so much better, so much better. So that is unfortunately how it ended up working better for me with the GoPro camera, because the GoPro just wasn't reliable enough. The Pocket 2, on the other hand, it does remember your stream key and stuff like that, and I didn't have the same level of connection problems at all compared to the GoPro. It wasn't perfect, and I still had to, like, I think there were a couple times I had to like get it to reconnect to the Wi-Fi before it would recognize that it was online. But yeah, that's the situation with the GoPro. I was not impressed. We'll just say that. So, okay. The document did finish uploading to iCloud, so I can now invite viewers with a link. Does that mean I can just drop this into Lightstream Studio? That would be cool. Let's make a new scene. Add a new browser source. It's always a risk doing this live. There's an iCloud link. There's a browser source. It says can't load URL, but let's see what happens. Play now. Still an error. Let's try this with just a new document. So this is test, and we're going to use Keynote Live, move it to iCloud. This should be a lot smaller. I hope it didn't actually move that other document to iCloud, because I want it on my computer. It's a couple hundred megs of YouTube thumbnails. Come on. This document's like 20 kilobytes. Why are you taking so long? Okay, this is a failing demo. We're going back to the chat. Chris says, Keynote Live, which I've only used a couple times, works, but the latency is annoying. Fair, yeah, okay. Do you record shows with the ATEM ISO-Tune SSD, or do you use the Blackmagic Video Assist? I am actually recording this one, which is, I don't usually record these. Usually it's just up on YouTube and that's it. I am recording this one because I was thinking I might try to go back and re-edit the Lightstream demo into its own video. We'll see how I feel about that. Not really sure, but I am recording to an SSD here because I want the multicam editing ability. So in case I messed up my camera switches, if I mess up all my angles or whatever, I want to be able to go back and grab just the computer feed and mix it in, you know, to fix those problems. So I do record the ISO because I can do that. Do you suggest a charger for the ZV-1 batteries? Maybe USB. I don't even remember what charger I have for the batteries. I did buy at some point. I bought a dual battery pack with a charger. I got one that looks small. I did not get the Sony one because it's very expensive. I honestly don't remember what it is. And it may have actually been one of the ones that was kicked off of Amazon too. So any of those should work fine. Can you suggest a low light 4K camera? Can't afford A7S 2 or 3. Yeah, those are very expensive. Is the A6400 good for low light video? For recording candlelight dance? Ooh, that is a challenge. I think the 6400 works well in low light. I have one up on my table that just stays there. It's my overhead shot. And I'm trying to remember, I don't do a lot of low light stuff in here, obviously, but when all my lights are turned off, it does still show me stuff from just like the glow of the ATEM lights in the room. And the other nice thing about the 6400 is it also has pretty good autofocus, especially compared to other cameras. And so yeah, I would say that's probably a good bet. But I have not actually tried filming by candlelight before. Have you tried operating Lightstream Studio from a phone? I did. Let me see if I have it loaded up on my iPad, because then I can show it to you. That's not the one. Go Lightstream. Oh, I may not be logged in on this. Maybe it's on my phone, not the iPad. I forgot to like take a picture of the bike setup. It would have been nice to do that. Totally forgot. But if I can get to this on my phone, okay, I have to log in again, but it'll work. Then I can just share it to the Apple TV. So yes, allow. We're gonna go and look at the Lightstream Studio on the computer. And where is my Apple TV? There's my Apple TV. So I need to go add my super source. You get to watch me do this live. Add a super source box 3. Sorry, Adam, I'm not doing this in mix effect right now. Probably would actually be faster, but okay. And then we're gonna go and grab the ATEM Mini, which is now my phone, and scoot it over here so you can see what's on my phone screen. There we go. So this is Lightstream on my computer. That's on my phone. That's what it looks like. It's got buttons for the scenes. So if I press scene 1, it's going to just immediately switch. And if we go look at the live broadcast, it should, in a couple seconds, there it goes. And I can tap scene 2, and it should go to title card. There it goes. And if I tap back to the main one, it'll switch back. So that's what it looks like on the phone. It totally usable as a control surface. It's not meant to be editing the show. It's meant to be a good control surface for that. And there's also the giant end stream button, which you can press to finally turn things off. Yeah, works great. Graham says, I agree that the A6400 is great in low light, but picture quality is reduced. Anything is going to be not as good in low light compared to full light. But yeah, 6400 is a decent option. Andre says, I even run multiple ZV-1s with regular Apple USB chargers. They never turn off. Yeah, I don't know what the deal was, but, and actually now that I'm saying it, it's plugged in over there over USB right now, and it's fine. So I don't know. I just had it die a few too many times for me to be comfortable with it. Have you gone for the Lightstream Studio 1080p 30 FPS? I believe so. Again, they did hook me up with this, so I have a trial for a couple months. It is, I don't remember what. Yeah, I'm on 1080p 30, so I don't get the option for 60, but that's the one I'm on. I wish Lightstream would have support for SRT. That would be very cool. Too complicated. I prefer to use the one and only YOLO box. Yeah, the YOLO box is also a great option. Again, oh, thanks, Darren, for this super chat. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the info. The time and efforts you spend is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, the YOLO box is also a super great option, and the big advantage with the YOLO box is you can have two cameras locally, switch locally, and it is instant switching between the two, and you can even do picture-in-picture, and then you push up only one feed. The downside of trying to push up multiple feeds to a remote place is you have to have twice the bandwidth. So the YOLO box could also be a good input into Lightstream Studio so that you can still do your web overlay, your graphics overlay using a web page up in Lightstream Studio, and then do your camera switches locally. So that's another option. How about OBS Ninja as a browser source in Lightstream Studio using a phone as a camera? That should work. I don't see why not. Want to try it? VDO.ninja. Add your camera. No, I want to do this so that I can do test show 1 2 3 4 5 password. I can make that no password. Great, and then I can copy a link to my phone and load it in my, oh, my Apple TV is still showing on the multi-view. Forgot about that. Okay, here's my phone again. And let's move box 1 back up. Maybe I should actually crop box 3. What is it, like 2? -2? No, 10, 11, 12. There we go. Okay. So if I paste in the VDO.ninja link, join the room, waiting for camera, front camera. Oh, great. Yes, start. Okay. Don't know what's going to happen with the sound. Let's mute that. If I go back here, I've got it showing up here, so I can add to that scene, grab scene 1. Yep, copy that. Let's go add it to Lightstream. So let me get rid of that one. I've got my RTMP source, which should still be receiving data. And let's add a new browser source. which is VDO.ninja. Is it going to work? It does work. And that means we can move it over here. Can I crop it? Do I get a crop? Position. There it is. Now I've got my vertical video. And my ATEM video is over here as well. I think the RTMP source is still live. So let's just go live again and see what happens. You're live. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, my ATEM is still streaming to that. My phone should be streaming to... I don't see it. Here it is. And I don't see my phone. What's going on? Let's try it with... What did I do with VDO.ninja? Here it is. Let's add myself back to the scene and see if that fixes it. Yeah, there it goes. So I had to add myself to the scene again, and now it's pushing the video feed up. And if I look at the final resulting stream, there it is. And thanks for the super chat, Chris. It's quite the effect going on here. Yeah, tunnel vision of confetti and boxes on boxes. Cool. That worked. So now we know OBS or VDO.ninja does in fact work with the browser source. Cool. Oh, here's a good one. I wonder if you can make Lightstream switch scenes if RTMP goes out. That is actually, oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. That's one of the main reasons I did this as well, because especially for the bike stream, because if the RTMP remote feed over LTE does drop, you don't want your whole feed, your whole stream to drop. So if you are streaming directly from a camera to YouTube, the problem is if your camera drops, your entire stream is down and people are just stuck looking at a black screen with a loading spinner. And it's a lot nicer to be able to have some indication that your stream stays on, your picture is gone, but then you could either have a logo that's still there so people know the stream isn't totally broken, or you could put up then a BRB screen. So from my phone, because you can do that scene switching on the phone, you could tap to your BRB screen while you fix your camera. And that's a lot better than having your stream just die completely midstream. So that's another super useful part of using Lightstream to actually be the one that's managing the stream. At some point, you need to test linking multiple YOLO boxes. Yes, they are supposed to be able to link multiple together across the internet. I only have one, so I haven't tried that yet, but that is definitely something that I would like to try. I've heard they're working on a second version, either a bigger or a smaller one. I don't know exactly. So maybe if I can get a hold of one of those, I'll be able to test that with the first version, and then I can try linking the two. Andre says, I think the key is you make it 100% charge and then keep it that way plugged in. That's about the ZV-1. That might be the case. Yeah, that might be the case. It probably depends on the battery health too, because it still is running off battery power. It's just also charging. So I think maybe some of the off-brand batteries are not as good. Could be. Okay, we're just about done here. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. I experiment a lot with IRL streaming to avoid the expensive Twitch backpack. Has probably spent more money on equipment testing though. Yeah. Dean says, are you streaming with John tomorrow? Yes, that stream got rescheduled to tomorrow. It was supposed to be last week. but John doesn't link them up. So tomorrow I will be here, and the John will be building the Extreme stand, the ATEM Mini Extreme stand that I sent him, thanks to all the super chats that paid for shipping for that. Took a long time to get there, but it made it. And yeah, we'll be streaming on his channel, so definitely go check that out. Should be fun. We'll just chat as he builds the stand, and hopefully he figures it out. Speaking of the stand, I'm so close to having the XL version done for the Stream Deck, and I discovered as I went to go do a test print today that my Prusa Mini is too small, and this piece does not fit on the print bed. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might have to just get another printer, because I don't want to make this for real in 2 parts when you buy it, because the real printers that they're printing on are big enough to print it. I might print it in 2 parts just for myself and attach it with some screws, like cut it in half crossways or something. So we'll see. I need to figure that out though, so that I can actually do a test print. And great. So I may end up with a second 3D printer after all. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for the super chat. I just realized my sound was off because I was getting feedback. Thank you. Appreciate it. Are you using an HDMI splitter to push the mini wall to your projector? Great show. Thanks. It is effectively an HDMI splitter. It's actually a lot more complicated than that, but basically yes. The actual answer is all of my cameras, all of my screens are all routed through this matrix. So this lets me say on this screen, pull input, grab from input 1, and then I can send, so I have the ATEM HDMI output goes into this. This can then copy the HDMI output to that screen, the projector. I can make it on that screen as well if I wanted to. I can put it there. So it's just I can route any inputs to any outputs, which is super handy for doing that kind of stuff. So I was able to very quickly throw that up because all I had to do was run 1 wire for the projector as an output, and then anything that is sent to that output will show up on the projector, which happens to be my multi-view right now, but I could also just make it my computer screen. I could switch that to be my computer screen with just one click, which is pretty cool. Okay, let's see, what else? Any chance you can do a tutorial for the maps? In the past, I think you said it's been too difficult. Where'd the chat go? There it is. Again, the map that you saw at the beginning of this stream, I'm not planning on making that software available because it is just complicated and it's not reliable either. As you've noticed for the last couple of weeks, I've had continual problems with it. So probably not going to make that software itself available. However, there is a Mac app that somebody else wrote that does kind of the same thing. It's for the same purpose and it works well. So that I've showed it a couple times on the last couple of streams, not the last couple, a couple before the last couple. And that app is called I'm From. It's in the Mac App Store, and he's been continuing to make improvements to it, which is great. I will probably show that again on a stream in a week or two, because that is how I would recommend getting a map on your stream, not using my hacky software. Did you paint the video hub? Yes, I did. In fact, I painted all of the gear on this rack white. Also, something that I don't necessarily recommend. This is the Blackmagic SmartView Duo. That's the Blackmagic Video Hub. That's my HyperDeck. That's just a rack case, and I spray painted everything white. And Are you only running Companion on the Stream Deck? Yes, I have. My Stream Deck is actually plugged into a Raspberry Pi behind there, not my computer. And that's because I don't want my computer process busy with running Companion, and I just want it dedicated there. I actually did it first because I was bringing my laptop back and forth, and I didn't have the M1 here, so it was even more of a hassle to have the buttons only show up if my computer is plugged in. So a little bit less of a problem now, but I still prefer having it just on the Raspberry Pi dedicated to that job. He painted everything. I sure did. I even painted that shelf in the back. That was not white originally. That was something else. I don't remember. It was some ugly gray. I painted that. I painted the little plants down there. The legs for those are painted white. The table legs I painted white. I put contact paper down that's got that white wood texture. So yeah, fun. I need to have the Extreme in a 19-inch rack. Would this fit on your stand if put in a drawer or shelf in the rack? It looks like, I'm just looking at how tall this is. I think this is actually quite tall. So this is, that's really, really close to 3U. I don't actually know if this is the height of 3U or not. I don't know if I would recommend doing that, because if it does fit, it would take 3U. And if it's slightly too tall, it would take 4, which seems like not a good use of 4U in a rack. Okay. I think we're done. I think I showed you everything I wanted to show you about Lightstream Studio. It is pretty fun. I've been enjoying it. I'm probably gonna do some more experiments with it as well, and we'll see. I guess I can end that test stream. We'll see what more trouble I can get up to in it. Been a lot of fun though, playing around with it. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Tom. I'm looking for a good Stream Deck setup for my Extreme ISO. Any recommendations? If you mean virtual, like digital button setups, there is that whole pack of control button stuff by David Joshua Ford. And let me see if I can find that link. He did a video about this, a couple of videos about it actually. So yeah, if you go here, I'll just drop a link to his channel. He's got Stream Deck config. What does he call them? Packs. Maybe that's the right word. So yeah, if you look at his channel, he's got a bunch of videos on packs for Stream Deck config, for the Extreme ISO and ATEM Mini Pro and all that stuff. So definitely a good set of stuff there. And if you are talking about physical setups for the Stream Deck, I highly recommend my own stand, of course. That is you can see that's sitting on the table there. It is, that's the one for the 15 button on the Mini stand. I've also got the 15 button on the Extreme, and I'm in the middle of finishing the design for the XL version for the Extreme. I'm not doing XL for the ATEM Mini because it's too big. So XL for the Extreme it should be available hopefully in a couple of weeks. We'll see. It depends on how successful my test prints go, and if I'm going to need to buy another printer in order to finish my test prints, or if I can figure out how to slice it up into parts for testing. Good times. Good times. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for coming. Let's go ahead and run the outro music. And yeah, thanks as always. Thanks for the super chats. And I will be back here same time next week. As usual, we'll be here running Q&A for ATEM Mini, or probably Lightstream again. I might do some more testing with that, so bring your questions, try it out, let me know how it goes. And thanks, Graham, for the super chat. Sorry, missed you in the credits there, but for you in Iraq, we'll keep it from prying hands. It is true. All right, thanks, and I will see you next time.